Welcome, everybody. It's nice to have you all join us today from wherever it is you are joining us from. Good afternoon, good evening. We are so excited to have you join us for today's Wives Gist, and I know it's going to be an awesome time. And before we go fully into the program, we want to share a video, just something to make you relax. And after which I'm going to ask a few questions before we go into the program fully. So I just want you to relax, just be comfortable while we share the video. Thank you. Once again, you are all welcome.
Calm down.
I should calm down.
Yes.
I should calm down.
Yes, don't be angry.
Ó ṣe jẹ́ pé nǹkan tó bá gbé lé ẹ lọ́wọ́ ló máa lọ ń kó.
No, I'm just telling you to be calming down.
Don't calm me down. Don't calm me down.
I want you to be calm down. So if that rest, Mom, you must rest, Mommy. You must rest a little.
I should rest before I beat you.
No. Just rest like this. Like this.
Bọ́sílẹ̀, ìwọ tí mo fẹ́ náà ó tún jókòó.
No, don't sit down. Don't tell you don't do.
Give me your hand.
I'm sorry, ma.
Give me your hand.
Mama ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́. I said Mama ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ mọ́.
Ó máa ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀.
No.
Ṣé bó ṣe bẹ́ẹ̀ lánàá?
No.
When I say don't do it, you will still do it.
No, I'm not doing tomorrow. Tomorrow I promise you.
I'm sure we are all familiar with that video, but if you are the mom to that little boy, what would you do? I want everybody to just type in their responses in the chat pod, okay? If you are the mom to that little boy, in that situation, what would you do? How would you handle it? How would you grant his request to calm down as he was requesting? I want to read your response, okay? Looking forward to your responses. So how would you respond to his request to calm down? We could hear him say, Mommy, be calming down, Mommy. And he was even physically, describing what he wanted the mom to do. So if you were the mom in that situation, what would you do? Would you calm down? I would appreciate you. Okay, I can read here, most likely. Somebody is saying most likely, she will calm down. She will be calming down. That's good. Thank you so much for your response. Okay, and I can see another response here. With the way he begged and the mannerism, I will have pity on him and calm down. Thank you so much for your response. I would appreciate more responses. We are all mommies. As for me, I think I would just calm down. I think I would just laugh and I would just calm down because, I can see that he was repentant and he was sorry for what he did. Let's just take one more, Mommies, I want you to respond. I'm waiting for more responses. I think overall, we will just calm down. From what I'm reading here, I think we will just calm down, okay? So for those of us that have responded, thank you so much. Thank you. As much as possible, I want us, to just respond and, make it quite interactive. Thank you so much. Okay, so right now, I'm just going to invite the convener of the Wife Gist in the person of, okay, let me just quickly read this. Probably I will take his response. It takes some consciousness about what being calm means to him to say that. That's good. Thank you so much. Thank you. So going further into the program, I'm going to be inviting the convener of Wife Gist in the person of Mrs. Bukola Ajilore. Thank you so much.
Mommy, calm down. BC, what do you think about that?
I'm going to calm down. I will first of all laugh because I can even see that the mom was almost laughing. So obviously I'm going to calm down.
Well, I will calm down, but I don't know.
No, I will calm down and just warn him not to do that again. But he just got to me and, I'm just going to calm down.
Well, the child has been doing it repeatedly. So what's...
He's a child. And he will never be that age for forever. So at least you keep talking to him. He has begged.
Okay.
We beg God and he forgives us.
Ooh.
So I will calm down. Yes, I will calm down.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking at the small boy and with the big cane. That's why. And I think the mom is just fulfilling scripture now that madness is in the heart of a child and the word brings it out. Maybe that's why she wants to beat the boy.
Yeah, but I think this time around, from what I see, I don't think he's going to try it again.
Okay.
That mom is serious this time around. And for him to be shouting, "Mommy, calm down, be calming down." So I think he has learned his lesson.
I wish I was alive. I would have showed her the video. Calm down. She will always... No problem. Okay, thank you so much. And I have my friend Fumi here. So, Fumi, please, you're welcome to Wife Gist.
Thank you.
Yeah. And I think you two, you are calming down.
Very calm. Very calm.
Your video is not on.
Okay, let me put my video on.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us in Wife Gist. In your own level, if your child tells you, "Mommy, calm down," back in Africa, what will you have done?
Okay, if I was back at home, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. But I can talk about now, right? If it was now,
yeah,
and if the situation is that this child has been doing it and the rod has not been able to change the child's behavior, then maybe a different strategy might work. If the mom says, "But you've been doing it," meaning that probably she's been beating him every time he does it, and maybe the beating is not the way to take that behavior away from that child. Maybe there's a different strategy. Maybe speaking to the child and letting the child know why it is wrong to do it instead of using the rod might be a different way, a different approach, which might work, right? I know my own kids. I hardly beat them. I understand the two of them, and I know what works for them. I know what works for each one. I know one of them does not want you to raise your voice, does not want you to open eye. So yeah. So yeah, I think you need to understand your child and understand what works for that child.
Understand your child. Oh, good. Then you have two wonderful kids, and there was a time. I bringing you back to like 4 years ago. We were on a table having some discussion, and one of your major issues was that you don't want your child to have a phone. Has anything changed now? That you were like concerned about the phone, and I remember Fumi, no, the lady's name is Tino. She's like, no, when they get to some certain class. So yeah. Has anything changed?
Yes, absolutely. That has changed. Now, so for us as a couple, we did not want the kids to have phones earlier on in life, basically because it was not needed for them at that stage of their lives. We didn't see any need for them to have the phones. Now, eventually they had to have their phones because in school they needed it. They got to a certain class where in the class they would be asked to use their phone to research things. And also because they had gotten to the age where they could walk home on their own, and we needed to be able to communicate with them. So the decision, I would say, is not a one size fits all. It's not a final. It's at every stage of the child's life. what is needed at this stage. Do you need the phone now? What do you need the phone for? Right? And so that's where we got to the point where, okay, it was necessary for them to have the phone.
So did you have to talk with them that you can't have it now? And I'm sure there's sometimes that the child will abuse the use of the phone, even when you gave them the phone. Please, what did you do?
Well, it's still ongoing. My kids are teenagers, and of course, you know that at that age, teenagers are addicted to their phones.
Yeah.
So, I mean, the first thing we did was to put parental control on every internet and every thing that has to do with social media in the house, so that whatever sites people are going to, we can monitor the sites. Whatever site is coming into our we can monitor it as well. So there's parental control on their phones, there's parental control on the internet in the house. We sit them down and have conversations with them with respect to, you know, the kind of sites they can go to. They're not on a lot of social media sites. They're not allowed to for now, just because we say to them that you can't handle the emotions that happens with social media. There's too much going on social media. It can make you and it can break you. At this age, you don't have what it takes to handle all of those social media platforms. So, you know, so even the ones that you're on, how do you filter the things that you see? How do you decide that, okay, this is the wrong thing for me to watch, or this is the wrong thing for me to see? No matter how much we try to protect our kids from seeing these things or hearing these things, they're out there in the school. The things are there. The friends have access to those things. I, as a parent, might not allow my child to have access, but the child's friend might have access to those things. So I think, again, it's about talking to your child and just letting them know that there's a difference between, you know, some things are acceptable, but are they profitable to you? Just like the Bible says, that is the expedient for you. At this age, do you need to have that information, right? We talk to them about their relationships with the opposite sex, and how, you know, are you able to handle such a relationship now, right? So it's with them constantly. I might try to put a filter on it, but I can't put a filter on what goes on in school or what your friend shows you on your friend's phone in school, right? So it's just having those conversations, and above all, praying, you know, just praying.
Wow.
Yeah.
And I like the way you said you don't have control in the school, because I sat in a party with a lady last month, and all her concern was that, why should my daughter take phone to school? And I said, well, I said the same thing like you said. And she was like, no, she should use the laptop. And I'm like, well, even the laptop, whatever, is you talking to your child, and as well, knowing that you do not control what they do in school. And we don't have to parent our children with fear, but with conversation, like you said, you have, and you had several conversations with your kids, which I really admire. And you also extend it to my own children as well, which is so good. So, but was that the way you were raised up, or what changed?
I just want to add something before I go to the way I was raised up as against this, that if we completely alienate the kids from having access to social media, or having access to these things, it might also affect them, and they become socially awkward. So there is a level of exposure that they need at this age as well. We can't completely say, no, you can't go on social media. No, you can't go on your phone. They need it. The world has moved, has evolved beyond what we used to have in those days, right? So they still need that exposure.
Wow.
So going back to your question of, was I raised this way? No, I was raised in Nigeria. I was raised by very typical African parents. I could not have conversations with my parents. I couldn't have a conversation about a boy with my mother or my father. right? So I wasn't raised this way, but I had to learn, right? I had to, put back all those, I had to unlearn the things that I knew from growing up in Nigeria and understanding that one, this is a different era. And two, my kids are growing up in a different environment. So I have to move with the times and see and find out what works for my child. How can I get my child to trust me and be able to talk to me?
That's absolutely right. Trust. And that's where the kids are lacking now, because I was telling my friends that if your child lies to you, then you are not a good parent. Because the child is just scared of you. I don't know, maybe our guest speaker will say something else. So don't let them come and catch us now. But our kids should be able to tell us, oh, I messed up. And you should be able to help them. And
Maybe
say,
it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a good parent.
okay.
Maybe it doesn't necessarily mean that you're not a good parent. It might just mean that maybe something is missing somewhere. So maybe a dot that needs to be connected is missing somewhere.
Thank you.
Yes. And so maybe because we grew up in fear. And there's a difference between fear and respect. There's a difference between, I can't go and talk to my mom about a boy, right? Because I'm so afraid of the consequences of what she would say. And also when my child can say, oh, mommy, I like this guy. He looks so fine. And I can say, oh, this one, but she knows that she can come to me and talk about that, but also understands that there's a boundary. There's a boundary. You cannot, pass a particular boundary, right? But she knows that she can come to me.
Okay, that's true. And I want to share something with you. And something happened from my daughter's school. The teacher sent a mail and it was not nice. And, and dad was like, you're going to stoop down. You're going to stoop down. I mean, daddy wanted to say, come and stoop down. I'm like, no. So from the last YG's turning point, the speakers told us about how the child failed in school, $64,000. And they still welcome the child. And that's when she found out that she didn't know the child. So when daddy was upset with what happened with my little girl, I just said to him, I said, I want to talk to my daughter. And when I took her upstairs and we started talking, and there was a time I broke down, right? And I told her, I said, but where is this coming from? And the child, I found out that she was rather going through a lot by that time, because we're in a transition in the family right now and it's affecting the child. So that was what made the child misbehave in school. I think she talked back to her teacher and her teacher felt like, when did Esther start this?
Yeah.
So we talked about it and then we settled it. Then daddy saying, go and stoop down. I'm like, no. So that boy has to do that. He calm down to her. What do you think? Because
I know. It's interesting because there's always the father's perspective and there's always the mother's perspective. While the father is most of the time he's a stricter one and he wants to say, you want to tone it down and be able to talk to the child. And what you just described is not an isolated case, right? It's not an isolated case in that he wanted to bring it with Owotole, like we say it in Yoruba, but you brought it down in a calmer way and you came down to the child's level and the child could relate with you and speak to you. Because sometimes when children act out, when they behave, they just want to be heard. There might be an underlying situation and the child just needs to be heard. The child might be seeking attention. The child might not be getting the attention that they need and might just be seeking attention.
Wow. Yeah. And another thing is when I was taking her up to my room, I prayed. I just said a short prayer and the Holy Spirit said, call your first daughter. So I called them and I saw them having this conversation and I left. So the next morning, daddy woke up and said, that he wants to say thank you that I didn't let him punish the girl because the Holy Spirit spoke to him that what can separate me from the love of God? that's the way God wants us to see our children. That even when they make a mistake, we should get to the point of talking to them, not withdrawing, because as at that time, Daddy said, okay, give me your phone, give me your laptop. And he gave everything back. And I was happy the way it ended. And I could see that parenting, it's more spiritual. And so lastly, before I let you go, told me one time that you want to buy a particular book we discussed with you. Why did you choose to buy the book?
Okay, so I like we all know, children never come with a manual, and I have and so my older child is a female, and of course we know that we all have emotions, and females have emotions, and from time to time I'll see some mood swings, and I'll see some emotions that I will think, okay, how do I handle this situation? How do I handle this situation? So I thought I needed help, right? With something to read and to help me to understand the emotions that she's exhibiting and how to relate with her at those times, right? How can a child just be crying and say, no, I'm just crying, there's no reason? Like, seriously, there's got to be a reason why are you crying, so I just needed that help. I just needed that help from a professional to say that these are the situations that they've encountered, and this is how you can deal with it. So yeah, I think I'm understanding more, and I'm trying to kind of think about when I was a teenager, and the emotions that I also had as a female, right? The emotions that I had as a female, and how sometimes you're just moody, sometimes you're just you maybe your friends don't want to hang out with you at that particular time, and your whole life seems to be over because your friends are busy, they can't hang out with you, those kind of things, right? I have to think back and remember that, okay, you also went through all of this, right? So it's a phase of life. Yeah. So just helping her through that phase, and supporting and letting her understand that I am here for you. When you're ready to talk, you can come talk to me.
So you had to go and seek for knowledge.
Yes.
So parents also needs knowledge.
Yes.
So thank you. And thank you so much. And congratulations on your son's award and his graduation.
Thank you. Thank you
for being a role model to mothers, to mothers and to children. I mean, I got connected to you through my children. And since then it's been awesome. Thank you for all you do, and God bless.
Thank you. And thanks for having me on. Thank you.
Over to you, our MC.
Thank you so much. That was really, really, really insightful. I was able to gain one or two things. So right now we are just going to do a brief intro about the guest speaker for today. I want you all to just sit back, relax, and gain as much knowledge as you can today. Thank you once again for joining in today.
Wendy Ologe is a foremost parenting coach in Africa who believes that her calling to parents will change the next generation. She's the founder of the Intentional Parent Academy, a coaching outfit dedicated to equipping parents and intending parents to intentionally raise their children positively, especially in the face of our decaying societal values. The Intentional Parent Academy runs the famous Inner Circle program, which takes parents through a yearly process that have impacted families and generations to come. She's the author of many best-selling parenting books, including Connect to Correct, Walking Your Child Through Puberty, The Discipline That Works, and over 18 parenting guides. Her books have sold over 100,000 copies across the nations of the earth. Wendy is the first African and Nigerian to sit on the board of the International Day of Calm. She also runs an online community on Facebook called The Intentional Parent, with over 100,000 members as of today. Through this group, Facebook selected her among 100 others to be a global leader leading communities for the Circle in Abuja, Nigeria, and also selected the group to flag off the first parenting subscription group in Africa. Wendy has spoken on many stages, including being interviewed by the biggest Christian TV network in Africa, CBN Africa, on their famous TV program, The 700 Club, twice. This interview has been aired locally and internationally. She has also spoken in Nigerian government establishments. In October 2019, Wendy represented Africa at the Facebook Global Parenting Panel at their headquarters in California, United States. The Facebook group The Intentional Parent was recognized as one of the most relevant and engaging parenting groups in Africa in 2019 by Facebook. On October 1st, 2020, Wendy was named by the Facebook team at the Facebook Community Summit as one of the people building relevant groups globally. Wendy is also the convener of the famous online parent conference, The Intentional Parent Conference. In 2021, she was named one of the top female coaches in the world by the Divine Purpose magazine based in the United States. She has also been featured on Fox, NBC, ABC, and CBS US. Wendy is also the executive director at Smart Office, a corporate organization with a focus on developing businesses through capacity planning, provision of serviced work spaces, and hostels for students. Her work experiences include years in international NGOs, with over 10 years of experience in USAID leading projects. Wendy also has experience in the banking sector. She likes to refer to her husband as the governor and a god. Their union of over 13 years is blessed with 2 biological children and 1 foster daughter who is married. Ladies in the house, let us give a warm welcome to Mrs. Wendy Ologe.
Good evening, everybody. I am spotlighted. I am waiting to have the go ahead. Please do let me know.
Please go right ahead, Ma.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity to speak in your community. And it's such a pleasure. I was listening to the conversation that was all going just before this session was called up. It was quite insightful. Thank you so much. I would like to make this session as interactive as possible. I can see we're just 12 here. If you can, in the comment section, send in a chat, send in an emoji, say hi, say hello, so that I will know that I'm not speaking to myself. That will really be encouraging to have that. And thank you to the organizers of the Wife Gist, all the members, for having me. And so today we're talking about on the topic mama. So I'm sure we have mamas in the house, and I'm sure that everyone here is a mama. Happy to have you with us today. Thank you so much, BC. Thank you, Fumi. Thank you, Dr. Laide. I really do appreciate. So let's go straight up to the conversation. I would like to know how many minutes I would have to be able to have this conversation with you, please. If I can get a response on that, I will be glad. One hour. Okay, great. All right, thank you so much. 1 hour is 9:30 from now, I guess. All right. Okay, I can say, so 8:20 to 9:20. I'm supposed to speak for an hour. Let us start this conversation this way. And I hope I will be allowed to also use scriptural references for this conversation as well. We'll have people connected on YouTube. Oh, awesome. And if that will work, please let me also have a destiny go ahead. I had asked that before. I just want to reconfirm that that is okay on the platform that I'm speaking. So we're talking mama. And I saw, thank you. I saw the clip that was shown at the beginning of this conversation, and where the Nigerian child who was, talking about calming down and all of that. By the way, let me see where you are connecting from. I'm connecting from Abuja, Nigeria. And let me see where you're connecting from. It will be good to know the audience that we have as well. So let me see the people. Let me just put in the comment section, whether you're watching on YouTube or you are watching on Zoom. Let me just see where you are watching from. Canada, Ottawa, Ontario. All right. So please, let me just see, just put it right in the comment section and let's just, go with that conversation. All right, Texas. Okay. The mountain. All righty. So mama, when you hear the word mama, what comes to mind? Anytime you hear mama, I just want you to put one word that comes to mind when you hear mama. One word that comes to mind when you hear mama. Just put it right in the comment section. Mother, this says mother. Hugs. Oh, wow. Strength. Oh, interesting. Oh, interesting. This is going to be an interesting one. Hugs. Nice. Okay, so let's see you. Communication. Oh, wow. Communication. When you hear mama, what comes to mind? Anytime you hear mama, I want you to just put one word that comes to mind when you hear mama. Put it right in the comment section. Mama, what does mama mean to you? So today we are looking at the broad topic called mama. But this mama topic, of course, is going to have unconditional love. Oh, wow, relentless. I like the words that are coming in the comment section. Amazing. Now, I'm going to define mama using the word loving foundation. I'm going to define mama using the acronyms, MAMA. And the first thing that M would mean is motherhood. So the first thing that comes to mind many of the times when you hear mama is mother. Mother. And what exactly does mother mean? Someone says always hope, loving foundation. I like all of the words, the sentences and all the words that we've used to describe mama. Now, motherhood. Who is a mother? Okay? I said motherhood and not mother. Now, a mother is biological. Motherhood is intentional. Let me say that again. A mother is biological. Motherhood is intentional. Anyone can be a mother. Anyone at all. All you need to do is to have a child and you'll be named a mother. But not everyone is mothering. Now, one is a noun, the other is a verb. So motherhood is mother. And, motherhood and mother, they are two different things because motherhood is actually a state of being. Mother is a noun, is a name. Not everybody who is a mother is actually mothering. And for you to actually mother, it requires skills. So you cannot be a mother because it's a doing word. It requires that you need to do something. So just having a child is an entry level to mothering. When you say you wrote a JAMB, and in the Nigerian universities, am I speaking to anyone who is in Nigeria here? So that I would also understand how I'm going to use my examples, okay? In the Nigerian setting, you write JAMB and you are supposed to get into the university. You can actually mother someone. You can be you can practice motherhood without being necessarily biological a mother. So motherhood is different from being a mother. So we have so many mothers who are not mothering. Like I said, one is a noun, the other is a verb. The verb is a doing word. Now, a mother is someone who can protect, who can shape a destiny, who can help nurture a child. Now, like I said earlier, these are skills. There are skills required to be able to do this. For you to be in the state of motherhood, you need to have ensured that the personhood is already established. Now, there is no motherhood without reviewing the personhood, which is why in parenting, we say that for you to become a parent, for you to become a mother, a father, you need to reparent yourself because there is a self. One of my most favorite quotes from my book, Connect to Correct, would say, parenting is about you. For every time many people hear that word, they are a little bit, it icks them a little bit. I've had a lot of people come to me to say, Coach, why would you say that? Are you saying that there is nothing that a child does that, gets into the space? Are you saying that it's just the only thing is about what it is that I'm doing? And the answer is yes. The first thing that parenting requires is you. In the school of parenting, you are the curriculum. You are the most important piece. Your child is not the parent, you are the parent. And you need to understand that. The same thing with motherhood. So for you to be able to be a mother sufficiently, effectively, you must be able to actually look at the person who is becoming, because you cannot separate the person from the role. Let me say that again. You can't separate the person from the role. Now, I said I'm going to define the acronyms before we, move down. A, being a mother, being a mama means that you are a co-creator with God. You are a co-creator with God. When people come to me to ask me, what does it mean to be a parent? I tell them that it simply means that you're co-creating with the Almighty. Scary revelation. The Bible talks about you being a God. And the ability for you, being a God means that you can create. Now, when God started creating the world, God created Adam and Eve, and God has not physically created any other person again. What God has done is that God has put in systems that can create human beings with you as a co-creator. So the moment you become a mother, a parent, you automatically become a co-creator with the Almighty. So God is placing in your hands the ability to help him, to work together with him to make sure that his purpose on the earth is actually achieved. So you are a co-creator. A will mean a co-creator. That's why the Bible in Isaiah 16:13 talks about, can a mother forget the nursing child and all of that? There is something about mothering that, takes you, that creates, which is why, so when you look at medicine, all right, when you look at how the child is formed, you find out that the child is formed from many of the things that happens in your body, So it said that if the body needs to die for the child to survive, the body will. So in creation, right, in the process of reproduction, the child, if the mother and the child is a trace, for instance, there's no food in the system, and the mother isn't eating well, it actually happens that the bones can break down to be able to feed the new life. Now, a part of you gets into the process of the creation. Now, you are not the owner of a child, but you are a co-creator with the creator. What that means is that God is trusting you, because God doesn't come down anymore to now bring, children and say, I'm going to mold them like I molded Adam and all of that. He has put in systems, which is why he's the God of systems. There are principles, there are systems, and these systems are there. So you get pregnant, you give birth to a child, and God says, these ones are going to help me fulfill the destiny of this child on earth. So parenting, being a mama, makes you a co-creator. So every time you remember that you're co-creating with the Almighty, that puts you, for me, it's something that scares me some of the times. I'm like, so God is trusting me. It means that God trusts me so much to actually put this role, this responsibility in my hands. Now, let's go ahead to the next M. Somebody taking note of that. So we said M means motherhood. A means a co-creator. Then the other M. The other M. One of the things that I would say about mama, one of the things that I would say about mama is that the other M means mercy. M-E-S-S-Y. I'm going to tell you why. I usually say that parenting is in the mess. If you're not ready to look at the mess that comes with parenting and be able to actually use it, then you are not really parenting. In the academy, so we run an academy, and part of the things that I teach the parents, one of the topics is how to use parenting failure as a tool in your parenting for success. So parenting is a process of being able to use the things that we call failure to actually transform them for success. So failure in itself in this process is actually a tool. It's not a negative. What actually becomes the real failure is when you're not able to use failure as a tool. Because every day in motherhood, we are failing. Every single day, we are failing. Every single day, there's a mess. Every single day. And if you understand how to make that mess, turn it, that whole mess, you know how they say when they give you lemons, you make lemonades and all of that. How to turn that mess when you understand it. When you understand it, then you understand exactly what it means to be a mama. So many of the time we want to believe that motherhood should be perfect. There's this perfection that comes with motherhood. And if that doesn't come, you feel that you have failed. You feel that, in fact, if you've never felt that you have made a mess of your journey as a mother, then you are not a mother. Because there is a process. The process, part of it is all in the mess. Parenting is in the mess. It is in how you understand how to use the messy pieces to actually put it together to have results. Now let's move. That's the next A is of mama is affectionate. Mamas, that A, it's about affection. There's something about being a mother, all right? When you are mothering, one of the things that comes with mothering is affection. I like the way Abraham Lincoln says it. It says that no man is poor who has a godly mother. No man is poor who has a godly mother. So motherhood, there's this affection, that mothers exude. There's this, that's just motherhood for you. Some of the times, those affections, might not even be what is good for the child, but it's there. Because I say that you can love your child and still kill your child because intentions are not enough. So affection is part of what mothering is about. So mama, motherhood, a co-creator, mercy, and affection. So the first two are the things that you need to actually do a call of putting and learn to do. The second two are the process that is natural, that you can now convert to nurture and become, what it is, or what it is that God wants you to do with it. Now let's move. How do I begin? What do I need to be mothering? So now being a mother is one thing. In the process of motherhood, what do I need? In the process of parenthood, what do I need? The first thing that you will need would be knowledge. A godly mother, a godly mama will sacrifice anything, including life, to get answers. I'm going to give you scriptural references for this. Can sacrifice anything, anything at all, including life, to be able to get answers. When you read Isaiah, no, 1 Kings, chapter 17. When you read 1 Kings, chapter 17 and verse 13, it talks about 1 Kings 17, 13. It was the story of Elijah and the Tishbite, who was the inhabitants of Gilead, right? And he was talking about when Elijah went to the Zarephath, the woman of Zarephath, okay? And who didn't have food. And when he told that woman what you need to do, and he said, as the Lord liveth, I have not cake, because he asked the woman that you should bring a morsel of bread in thy hand. Okay, so the woman was saying, as I was going to fetch it, called her and said, bring me, I pray thee, a morsel of bread in thy hand. And the woman said, as the Lord lives, I have no cake, but a handful of meal in a barrel, and also a little oil in my cruse. And behold, I'm gathering 2 sticks, so that I may go in, dress it for me and my son, that we may eat it and die. Now Elijah said to her, fear not, go and make for me first, and then bring it unto me and make for you and your son. In another conversation, Elijah would also meet a woman who had a husband who was a prophet. That was 2 Kings 4:2. The wife of the husband of this woman had died. He was a prophet, and the woman had met Elijah to say, oh, I needed this. I needed you to help me do this and all of that. And Elijah had asked for something in exchange that the woman said, I do not have. Elijah said, you have not, then you receive not. Go and borrow. Now, these women were willing to sacrifice everything for them to actually gain access to whatever it is that Elijah carried. I have said over and again that knowledge is a prerequisite for parenting a child in the 21st century. If you have nothing, you will receive nothing. Until you are able to exchange your lack for something, you will continue to be in lack. I'll say that again. Until you are able to exchange your lack for something, you will continue to be in lack. One of the questions you want to ask as a parent is, what are the things that I'm deficient in? How do I exchange it to be able to learn what I need? The scripture that says, oh, my people perish for lack of knowledge, we don't finish reading it. The other part of it actually says that because you have rejected knowledge, I would also reject your children. That's a B part of that scripture. Because a lot of the times we want to believe that everything that we just need. I've heard a lot of parents, spoken to quite a wide range of parents, who would tell me that, oh, all I need to do is to pray. No, all you need to do is not only to pray. You should pray, yes, but you should also know what to do. When you read the scriptures about how David was installed to be the king, the Bible recorded that the children of Issachar understood the times. The times where we are in is not a time to argue whether you need knowledge or not. There's a lot that is happening out there. And the truth of the matter is that many of us are not as equipped to actually be able to assess what it is that we should be doing. I usually say that parenting is a learned skill. Parenting is learned, is not assumed, because assumption is the lowest form of knowledge. The moment you assume, you will find out that, parenting comes. So when people say, oh, but parenting really doesn't come with a manual, does it really? I'm going to share a story with you. Manoah, who was the father of Samson, got a parenting manual. He actually asked the Holy Spirit to come back, the angel to come back and come and show him how he needed to raise Samson. Unfortunately, Manoah didn't implement that manual. I would leave that story so that I can move quickly. The point is, if you actually seek for the direction you need to raise a child, then you will find it. That's why the scriptures say, train up a child in a way he should go. So there is a way. The Bible says that there is a way to the city. It said the labor of the foolish wearied them because they do not know how to get to the city. There is a way to the city. If you enter the city the wrong way, you won't be able to access that city. So there is the place of knowledge, there is the place of God. Unfortunately, in today's world, what we have done is to replace. We have given God our role. I'm taking the role of God. What is the role of God? The role of God is protection and giving us access to the required knowledge. But what we do today is that we're protecting our children, and then we are saying, oh, it's God that will parent for me. God doesn't parent children. He didn't promise you parenting. If you doubt me, go back to the scriptures. Go and ask Pastor Eli. Go and ask Uncle Dave. Go and ask many of them. Go and ask even Prophet Moses. God didn't promise us to parent our children. He promised to equip us to be able to do that. And the people who have failed to parent their children, no matter your position in church, it doesn't matter. You need knowledge. You need to be able to assess what it is that is required per time to be able to actually raise your children in today's world. And there's a lot of knowledge out there. I was speaking to a group of parents a few days ago, and I said to them, you are lucky. They were new parents. It was a new parenting class for parents who were just becoming parents. They were just getting married. Amazing time. And I said to them, you do not have any excuse because there is knowledge out there. The problem is, are we really implementing? These are the conversations. You need to know. And I'm going to break it down to the knowledge, part. I'm taking my time to explain the part to show you how important it is. A few years ago, I remember that I listened, when I was listening, I think I heard one of the women talking about, how she was raised and how the times have changed. If you do not recognize how different these times have changed and how we are parenting differently today, then there will be a problem. And, many of the times I've heard quite a number of parents who just say, you ask them, I'm sure if I ask you now, what do you want from your child? Let me even try that question. What do you want from that? Who do you want? Why do you want to parent in a better way? Why do you want to parent in a, let me see your answers. Why do you want to parent in a better way? Why do you want to parent in a better way? Why do you want to even be a good parent, an effective parent? I don't really want to use the word good. Why do you want to be an effective parent? Let me see your comments in the comment section. What is your reason? Why are you even a parent? What is your reason for being a parent? What is your reason for being a parent? Let me see that. Let me see your comments. Why do you want to parent in a better way? Why are you a parent? Why do you think you need to even gain knowledge to do anything better? Why? Why? So that I can raise my children in the line of God's plan for them. To have children who can impact their world, the way God intended. Awesome. I can see two answers. I can see two answers. So let me ask this question. Let me also ask another question. Do you want to raise an obedient child? Do you want to raise an obedient child? Is that your aim? Is that the aim? To raise an obedient child? Is that the aim? Let's see your answers. You can just put a yes. Is the aim to raise an obedient child? A good child, an obedient child. A good child, an obedient child. Is that the aim? I like this to be very interactive so that I'm not just speaking to myself. The aim is it to raise an obedient child, a good child. Okay, great. At least I can see 1, 2, 3, 4 answers. Now, many of the times when I ask this question, all right, what I hear is yes. You know, you ask a parent, why are you doing this? The parent says, I just want my children to behave well. I just want my children to behave well. I just want my children to be obedient. I just want my children to be obedient. And many of the times you find out that what we are chasing is obedience and being good. Obedient and being good. And that's all that we have at the back of our mind. So for everything the child does, every time you scream, you're not good, you're not aligned, you're not this, you're not that. So when we say things like train up a child in the way he should go, the way he should go is not the way you are going. So that's the word, the way he should go, not the way you want him to go, the way he should go. So if the way he should go, might be clashing with the way you want him to go. Now, I usually say that obedience and goodness is not the final goal for raising a child. The final goal for raising a child is a child who can thrive and fulfill destiny. They're not the same. Your child can actually, in quotes, be good and yet not be able to thrive. I'll take you to the scriptures back again. The story, the parable of the 10 virgins. Those 5 virgins were virgins also. So they were good. So those 10 virgins were good. And many of the times when we read those scriptures, we don't look at it from all of these angles. Now, people say, oh, they were not prepared. That's why they missed the Savior. That's not true. They were prepared. They just didn't have the extras. They were prepared. They prepared them being virgins. They prepared them, giving them enough oil, but there was no extra. And in that conversation, Christ would say that they were foolish virgins. So it means that holiness is not the only attribute of God. It means that goodness is not the only attribute of God for you to thrive. You can be good, you can be holy and still suffer. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not saying that it's bad to be holy and good. I am saying that to your holiness and your goodness and your child who is obedient, add skills that can help your child thrive. Because your child can be a virgin and be foolish. So knowledge is a key factor. Remember that I said that until you exchange your lack for something, you will continue to be in lack. I want you to ask yourself today, and I'm sure that if I ask the questions, here, how many of you have ever read any parenting book at all? Attended any parenting course at all? I'm sure I'm not going to have too many people answer yes. But it has become a relevant, key tool in today. Thank you, says. Very key. There has to be a learning system. Last year, I was teaching parents about awesome. I was teaching parents, I can see I have, yes, I have. Oh, great. I was teaching parents about a course. I taught parents in a course called Sex Educate Your Child Like a Pro. And a parent came back to me and said, can I see the curriculum for this year? And I sent it to her and she said, the curriculum is just different. Is it that every day, things come up? Yes, everything is fluid. Growing up, a lot of us didn't learn a lot of things, not because they were not necessarily there. Because one, our parents didn't even have access to the kind of knowledge that we have. And then now, the world has also changed in many areas. For instance, gender confusion has become a thing. It has become a part of sex conversation. And if you're not teaching it, you're going to confuse your child even the more. When we're growing up, it wasn't a thing. In the next 30 years, we're going to have more LGBTQ people in the system, and it's going to become normal. It's no longer going to become something that we're looking at. It is already almost normal. I was in San Francisco last year, and I was passing, and my friend and I saw something, and we smiled, and some African people were there, and we're like, wow, what's happening? Oh, God forbid, I'm going to close my eyes. I smiled. And many times, for those of us who live in this part of the world, we always think that, oh no, these things are not down here, but they all exist, even down where we are. Let us move forward. Number 2 thing you need are skills. Because motherhood is a state of being, you need to be able to show how it's done. That you have a good intention is not enough. I've had our parents had good intentions. And when people say things like, but we turned out okay, I asked them, how okay are we when you look around in our society? The intention that our parents had, where a child couldn't talk to their parents, those intentions were good. But the question will be, was it enough? Because they didn't know how to communicate some of those intentions. Because they didn't know how to make those intentions become valuable. For instance, a lot of parents wanted their children to be good, turn out well. So when a child does something, they shout you down. They felt that system was what was required to actually achieve their goal. The intention, none of our parents had bad intention. No parent ever, really have bad intentions. The process is actually what is the issue. The process. And many of the time, the process comes in the place of skill. That video that was shown to us at the beginning of this conversation was a lack of skill. That's what it was. So there are too many skills that you will require to earn to actually be an effective parent. One of those skills will be emotional intelligence, for instance. And a lot of us battle with things like discipline, disciplinary skills. Many of us do not even know the right way to discipline a child. You have a good intention to correct a child for a misbehavior, but in the process of correcting that child, you kill the child's self-esteem. You kill the child's, demeanor just because you want to achieve an aim. Were you intentionally doing it? No. But unfortunately, that's the product. Because you do not have the skills to be able to deliver. I said at the beginning that you can love your child and kill your child because you do not know how. So love is not enough. Good intentions are not enough. To your good intentions, to your love, you must add knowledge and you must add skills. If you are not skilled, because mothering, I said that earlier, is a state of being, you need to be able to show how it's done. It's a doing word. It's a doing word. So when you are doing, that means you require skills to be able to. I've said that many misbehaviors we see in children is as a result of lack of skills. Many misbehaviors, many reactions that we see from parents is also as a result of lack of skills. What skills do you have? You can't deliver on what it is that you don't have because you cannot give what you do not have. What skills have you built as a parent? I usually say that if parenting is not changing you, then you're not parenting. I've been parent for the past 13 years now, raised a foster daughter who is currently married. And I remember that when I was, at some point in time, I started to struggle for our foster daughter to be able to get instructions from us. So she's legally our foster daughter. And I remember that, so every time I'll see myself struggling. I didn't know anything about understanding a child's learning style. At that time, I would think, why is she always not listening to me? I was frustrated. And when I started my journey into parenting, by the way, because I was presented with an opportunity to raise a child. And that was when I realized that I had zero skills to be able to deliver. You know, when we have watched our parents parent, if the only knowledge you have is just watching your parents parent you, then there is a problem. Because even our parents had a lot of deficiencies. So it is important that we begin to look at, you know, a lot of these things. And I realized that I was deficient in that part of my skill. Like I couldn't deliver on it. I got into learning, going to do a course, understanding your child's learning style. I had to. My journey into parenting started from her. And before I would even become a biological parent, I have already started parenting a child. And I started parenting that child. I failed woefully severally. And instead of sulk that I was failing, I started to look for answers. And when I took that course, one of the things that happened to me was now getting to the point where I understood that I was the one that had the problem. I had little or no understanding about who I was raising. Many of us do not understand who we're raising. It's a problem. Many of us don't know who our children are. If I ask you now, do you know your child? You will say yes. But if I ask questions that, do you know how your child learns? Do you know your child's temperament, their personality? Do you know their love language? Do you know their apology language? Do you know how your child would actually respond to issues? Do you really know who your child, do you know their personality? Do you really know who your child is? I didn't know who I was parenting. And one of the biggest tragedy of parenting today is parents parenting people they do not know at all. And I went in and I studied and I found out that I was communicating with her the way I learned. So I realized I am a dominant auditory learner. So I realized that I feel that a lot of people would also dominantly learn the same way that I learn. So I communicate the same way that I learn. But she was a dominant visual learner. So she couldn't piece a lot of my instructions into place. And the moment I cracked that code, everything was just perfect. I was able to understand that this person is never going to be able to read my instructions in the way I am giving it. What changed? Knowledge. The child didn't change, I changed. What changed in me is that I assessed something, a superior knowledge that could help me deliver for the child. So knowledge, skills, so I was not equipped to be able to act and give instructions in the way that it made sense. So that killed that whole system where I was constantly in a battle with her. When you're skilled, it's easier to parent a child when you're skilled. When you're skilled, for instance, a lot of us do not know how to communicate. Many of us have issues communicating. So that way, we are constantly in a battle with our children. Because communication do not just come naturally to us. We didn't learn it. Many of the communications we learned. In fact, conversations rarely didn't happen in most families when we were growing up. All of the communications that happened were probably a lot of abuses, some a lot of criticism, many of them a lot of instructions, many of them a lot of judgments. And if your communication is full of instructions, criticisms, judgments, and never connection, never conversations, and these things that actually would make a child to actually come back to you, then that communication isn't happening in that system. And because we lack these skills, we're not really able to communicate. One of the things that I have been able to do is to go and learn how to communicate. And that has given me an urge over having my children do things a certain way. So skills are built. One of the things I say is that skills are built. They are not beaten into a child. You don't beat skills into a child. You don't beat a child to learn mathematics. You don't beat a child to learn, you don't hit a child to learn a skill. You teach it. You don't beat it in. So the same way you as an adult need to learn a skill, the same way a child is learning a skill. My children started cooking very early in life. By the time they would turn 10, the twins have started to man the kitchen. So currently the twins are 12, and I do not need to, even if I have visitors, to get into the kitchen. Their skills, they were not beaten into them, they learned them, and they were able to understand mastery. And it's the skills you build that will give you mastery. Let's quickly move. Number C is time. Time. You must do the time now, because time is the currency of destiny. Without time, you can't shape a destiny. I've heard quite a number of parents say, oh, the child is going to become, better. All these things are just, normal and all of that. That is actually a submission of a foolish parent. Because time in itself doesn't do anything. It is what you do with time that matters. I've seen quite a number of parents who have time. They have time, but they do not have content for the time. Part of what we teach parents in the academy is what to do with their time. So it's not about the length of time, it's about the quality. What has entered into that time? For instance, I'm a very busy parent, but if I spend 10 minutes with my children, it might be equal to your 10 hours. Because what? I have content. Parenting must be done in a way that is knowledgeable, that is intentional, and that is structural. So if you understand this, knowledge, intentional, and structural. So you must do the time. Because it's a time that you need to shape a destiny. That's what you need. So when a lot of people say to my husband and I that, oh, you guys have a lot of time for this parenting thing and all of that, we smile. We're like, yes, oh yeah, we have time, a lot of it. You must create time to be a mother. You must create time. Life in itself, parenting. And then, one of the interesting things about parenting is that time goes per minute. Change is noiseless. That's why you can wake up one morning and say, oh, my child is 13 and my child is not able to do anything, because change is noiseless. Change does not make noise. That's why time is an important factor on your journey. Number D, you are a disciple maker. You are a disciple maker. Being a disciple maker means that you are discipling your children. So when people ask me about discipline, I tell them that discipline is about structure. Discipline is about discipling your children. Discipline is not about beating a child. Discipline is not about screaming everywhere. Discipline is about discipleship. So when you hear the word discipline, you should ask yourself, am I discipling my children? And if you want to take an example, you can take a cue from what Jesus Christ did with his disciples. What he did was to teach. See, the first thing that discipline means is actually to teach. See, there is no discipline without a teaching process, because the first part of discipline is to teach. If you haven't taught, it's an error to actually correct a child you haven't taught. And many of the times we do it because everything in our head, we have been programmed to understand that discipline is about screaming everywhere, jumping up and down, shouting, and becoming the lion of the tribe of Judah. And the moment you become that, you have become a disciplinarian. A parent reached out to me very recently from Queensland, that was Australia, and said to me, her 12-year-old has just joined the LGBTQ system. She has said, oh, that she's not now into girls and all of that. So she came to me for counsel. When we were in that session, one of the things I would pick out was when I asked, I said, what is your method of discipline for your children? She said, I'm a very disciplined, I'm a Christian. Coach, I'm a Christian. I beat my children. I beat them. All these things that they do, I'm always beating them. I shout, I correct them, and I'm always praying. I don't know how this will happen to me. I have seen you share about your classes, but those classes are not, I thought it wasn't for me. I'm a Christian people. We are not supposed to be learning. We are dependent on God. It's okay. The truth of the matter is, if you do not understand how to deliver on this, see, God is a God of principles and systems. So God is, the principles and systems are standard. All right. So I've said it before, you're praying, there's a God factor, there's a knowledge factor. And you must be able to recognize it. And the way she was talking to me, I would see that there was a lot of gap in her connection with her children. See, your communication must be about connections, must be about conversations. I've said that earlier. And must be about the right kind of discipline. When you discipline your children right, the truth of the matter is that they will receive that discipline the way it should come to them. When you actually understand what discipline is. I will share vivid examples of discipline. Now, when people ask me, Coach, how do you discipline your children? What are you supposed to do? These children can drive you not. The first thing you heard me say today was that discipline is structure. And if discipline means structure, it means that without structure, you are not doing anything. So you need to build structure first. So all of I will beat the child once the child does this. I will scream up and down. The question would be, what kind of structure do you have in place? That's actually what takes you there. Now, my children started cooking home meals from age 10. From age 10 till today, they go to a boarding school. When they are around, as I come back to the house, I've never had to call my children to fix dinner or to fix lunch or to fix breakfast. For me, that's the highest point of discipline. Your child being able to understand what they need to do part time. Discipline is about self-leadership. So if you need to keep policing your child everywhere with a cane, there is a problem with that system in itself. You are leaving your home, you take out the smart card, you take phone, you lock it, there's already something wrong. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with passwording and all of that, but there's a higher knowledge that can actually give you safety. That can actually give you safety a lot more. And that's why the Bible says that wisdom and knowledge shall be the stability of our times. There's always something superior to do. So when you put up a structure, it's a lot more easier. There's a structure that is in my home. When you get into my home, when my children were in primary school, and you get into my home 1 minute after 8, you can't see my children anywhere but in their bedroom. It's not possible. It was a structure. And that's what real discipline is. Unfortunately, many of us are asking our children for things that we can't even deliver on. We're not even disciplined in the first place. So when people tell me things like, oh, in Nigeria, we're very disciplined people who discipline our children, I laugh. Because we're the ones that we hit the traffic. Traffic light is there, you're hitting over it. You're the ones that is going to be at the filling station screaming like one mad person. You are the one that is going to beat lines. You are the one that is going to do the wrong things. You are the one that is going to stop on the road and say, oh, just let me just pass and all of that. And yet we actually do claim that we're very disciplined. Now, when this thing of a thing is not known, abuse is inevitable. The reason why we are abusing discipline is that we do not know what discipline should be. That's why we're abusing discipline. And that's why people will tell you things like, I have beat my child, I have disciplined the child. That's discipline. That's not discipline. I remember one of those days, my son had gone to school, had gone into trouble. And, the news came back to me. He called me and said, oh, Mom, this is what happened. I did this, and that. And the school was trying to hold brief for him, saying that, no, it's not in Ayo's character to do things like this and all of that. So the teacher was really holding briefs. They're going to bypass. I called the teacher and I said to the teacher, my son will go through whatever it is that the school has put in as a disciplinary measure for his offense. I don't want to know how it, whatever it is that, how good he is, how he's one of your good students. I don't care. He knew that what he did had consequences and he would need to face the consequences. Unfortunately, what we do in discipline is that we take away consequences, we replace it with shouting and beating a child. And when we beat a child and shout, we take away the process of actually really understanding what they've done. And then we say we have disciplined the child. Unfortunately, you haven't. Because I could go back to the school and tell them, I've flogged him, I've shouted on him. Just forgive him, let him go back. He will not understand it. He's never going to understand it. And he's never going to be able to understand the cause and effect process of life. There is a process of life, and that's the real discipline. That's where your child will be able to lead themselves. Discipline is about your child doing the right thing even when you're not there, doing what is required. Now, discipline is not just about obeying you, because you might be wrong even in your quest for obedience. I tell my children, no, obedience is not the goal. The goal is doing what is right. Honor is the goal. So the goal is not obedience. I don't teach my children, obey me, because I'm not right all the time. The infallibility narrative in parenting is a false narrative, where you think that you know everything, you are right every time, is a false narrative in parenting. You're not. If you're able to equip your children to see these things, your children will be able to actually stand up outside and make decisions that are favorable to them every time of the day, wherever it is that they find themselves. Let me quickly run. The number E, the fifth one, is patience and kindness. You need it. You need a lot of it. You need a lot of it. I call it grit. Ability to stay on even when it gets tough. Ability to use the mess in being a mother and being able to convert it to things that are positive. We have been opportune to have our foster daughter make a mess in a private university in Nigeria. Story for another day. And I remember, it was as if the whole world was coming down. But you know what? In that circumstance, when our foster daughter was asked, who would you like to call at this time? She said, I would like to speak to my father. Because if I do, he will be the one that would tell me exactly what decision I would take that is the best for me now. She ended up coming out best, tops of our class in university, but we could have handled it wrongly and made a mess of that situation if we lacked knowledge, if we lacked skills, if we lacked the required grit. The aim is not for you to raise children who will never make mistakes. Mistakes are tools to actually creating children who will thrive. Your children need to learn to do things. They will do dangerous things carefully and they will make mistakes while they are doing it. And if your child is going to make mistakes, if you are going to, be able to brace up to the mistakes, then you need to equip yourself. You need to equip yourself with the things that can come to you. And that's where grit comes in. And that's where you would understand that there's not a failure system. There's nothing like, so I have failed. I feel like a failure on parenting. Your child does something. You turn the shame to your shame. I don't get it. How? It is your shame, it's not mine. So I told my father, I said, whatever it is, you're going to undo it. The consequences will be there. You undo it. And she understood it because she understands the place of being able to actually take consequences. It's not about shouting and screaming. Oh, we didn't say, oh, that's the end. You're coming back to school. Oh, we're going, It didn't have to happen that way. It was the same girl who came out of our class. It was the same girl who got an honorary award at NYSC in Nigeria by the president. So you can actually turn a mess into a positive if you have the right skills. Now, when we talk about intentional parenting, we are not saying that you are parenting in perfection. We are saying that you can use the skills and the knowledge to be able to turn even the messy situations to something that will work for you eventually. And I want to speak to the parenting advantage. One of the things that I have found is what I call the Matthew effect. Have you always, there's a Matthew effect. It's a thing. Those who already come from in a particular verse in Matthew, where those who have will always have, and those who do not have, it will always be taken away from them. That's why you see successful people keep getting. It's easier for a successful person to get more successful than someone who isn't successful at all to even start to begin to get successful. That's the Matthew effect. And the Matthew effect comes from a lot of doing. And now what I call the parenting advantage is what I call it's also the concept of the 10,000 hour rule, where there's a process of mastery. See, any child who has a parenting advantage will stand over their peers. It is just standard. I was reading something about Elon Musk and another person who was also into investment heavily, who started investing at the age of 35. Elon Musk started to invest at the age of about 10. And the analysis was, it doesn't matter how much that guy puts in, Jim Brown, he's never going to be able to meet Elon Musk where he is in investment, because he had an advantage, the cumulative advantage, the advantage of time. See, when your child has the advantage of time, it makes all the difference. So you can parent your child intentionally to have the advantage of time. I've been speaking on public, podiums now for years. And one of the things that I learned growing up was my father teaching me intentionally how to speak in public. My first public speaking school was from my dad. And I've spoken on TEDx platforms. I've spoken everywhere in the world. Why? I had an advantage. For everywhere I get in, I don't need to start to learn how to speak. I naturally glide, and it becomes an advantage over my peers. That's what the parenting advantage is. The question will be, what advantage would your child have because you raised them? So for every error to actually go through secondary school without a leadership crown, it wasn't possible in my home. So you will go through secondary school and you will play politics. You will be a prefect. When you get into the university, you play in the SUG. It was compulsory in my home. I grew up understanding leadership. I was a head girl in primary school. I was a prefect in secondary school. I was an SUG official in university. And it didn't affect my school, my work. All right. So I still came out tops of my class. But the point was that there was something extra that my father, taught. He taught that, leadership is a thing. And I want to be able to arm my children with leadership skills. It's an advantage to me. When I get into a leadership role anywhere, I've done, in corporate organizations, I've done 10 years and 3 years and 4 years in the bank, 10 years in non-governmental organization. I have always been able to lead effortlessly. What will be the advantage your child had because you raised them? That is your parenting advantage. I think my time is almost up, and I can see that it's already 9:32. I would love to continue to talk, but I would also like to stop here so that I can take the questions as well.
Thank you so much. This has been really amazing. In fact, I have my notes full already, about 4 pages. Thank you so much, Mrs. Ologe. We've really, I have personally gained a lot. Being a mother of 3 teenagers is like, I need to maybe start all over again. So indeed, you have been born for such a time as this. I learned a lot, but I'm just going to, read out some of the points I was able to glean from, from your presentation. That discipline is about structure. So it's very, very important for us to have structure. And time is also the currency of destiny, which is very important. Parenting must be done in a way that is intentional and structural. That was amazing. And so many.
You're muted. You're now muted.
Okay, can you, sorry about that.
Yeah.
I think I just got carried away. So until you are able to exchange your lack for something, you can't receive anything. I got that. And God doesn't also parent children, but he promised to equip us with what we need as parents, as mothers, to be able to, parent our children. And because motherhood is a state of being, you need to show it. It's something you need to show how it is done. So many things, I was able to pick from your presentation. And once again, I want to say a big thank you. And right now we are going to be taking questions. So if you have any questions, I just want you to put the question in the question and answer box. If you have any question for Mrs. Ologe, I'm sure a lot of us have questions. I would really love to read our questions. So if you have questions, maybe I should start with my questions. Somebody asked, and I want to ask this question on behalf of somebody, that if you and your spouse, if you have a different style of parenting, how do you handle that? If you are somebody that you feel for your style of discipline is maybe you need to talk to the child instead of you having to shout, and your husband or maybe is somebody that, no, we have to shout, we have to beat this child, we have to do this, we have to do that. How do you handle that situation to create a balance and for the children not to think, oh, maybe mommy is siding me, or maybe mommy is better, or maybe mommy is the better parent than daddy? How do you think we should handle that situation?
One of the things I say about parenting is that you guys must be on the same page. There's nothing like, oh, I'm parenting and my husband will need to do it like this, I'm doing it like that. The moment your children know that you are on different, they will manipulate you. Children are very manipulative. They know it. Even, at a small, they will manipulate, they will use it against you because they know that, mommy is like this, daddy is like, so they will just play the both of you. One of the things I would say is many of the times parents also think that to discipline a child is just to talk. Just talking is not discipline. Just talking is not discipline. Because, see, there are discipline strategy have skills to it. I have a book called The Discipline That Works. In that book, I wrote about 10 disciplinary strategies. You can find all my books on Amazon. If you put Wendy Ologe, you find them. I wrote 10 disciplinary skills that you should use to, apply discipline. Now, what happens most of the times is the man is either saying, no, let's not beat this children. The woman is saying, so what else should we do? So neither the man nor the woman knows what else to do. But the woman already had the what to do, which is the cane and the shouting. But the man wants you to create a vacuum, which is also risky because life abhors vacuum. The moment you create a vacuum in your parenting system, you would have a problem. So because that happens, it's like everybody's thrown in a confused state. You don't know better. The other person who is saying stop does not know any better. So you need to equip yourself. See, until you are able to actually show what it is that you know that is working, that's when your spouse can now say, okay, so there's a different way to make this thing work. So what I advise is go and get the required knowledge first, and then show your spouse how that knowledge really works. The moment you are able to do that, thank you so much. We copied it. The moment you are able to do that, all right, you will be able to, the other spouse will be able to say, okay, wow, this is really working. I have had quite a number of parents come into the academy, and when they get into the academy, you find out that they are parenting with different styles. But by the time one person is learning and showing what they are learning, proven, right, strategies, not just something you assume. So many times we know that, okay, this thing is not right, but what else is right? So it's that vacuum we're trying to fill. So in the Intentional Parent Academy, we're not just saying, oh, no, don't hit a child. No, we are replacing it with valuable, strategically curated workable tools that will give you, arm you to be able to achieve even better results than just screaming and hitting a child. So when you're able to get in those tools, you can now replace them. Your spouse will naturally see. And then you can begin to have conversation on what to do right and what to actually do better.
Thank you
I
so
hope
much.
that helps.
Yes, thank you so much. I have quite a number of questions here. My children are now in their teens, and I wish I had started with what I have learned today. Is it too late? And also, the part B of that question is, how can I find my child's learning style?
Okay, so the part A, when parents tell me, is it too late? It's not too late. It's just that you are in a war front. You just need to, recognize that, wow, this is a different ball game right now. If I am to put a 10% to that someone who just started parenting, is to put a 10%, you will need to put in a 99.9% or even a 200.200%. That's the truth. Because what is going to happen eventually is that you're going to have a lot of struggle. Now, there's something we call the window, the learning opportunity. Now, the windows of learning, all right? There's something, called in psychology where the windows open up for learning for different things that you're learning in life. For instance, to learn trust, the window of opportunity to learn trust closes at 2 years. At 2 years. So if you do not understand how that works, the child is 2. So some things, the windows of opportunity won't open. Now, another time where windows of opportunities open a lot of the time is also the teenage age. Unfortunately, it is a time parents should use to teach again, but they fight it. It's a time where they now take to fighting because they've not built the connection base to be able to connect with these children to actually be able to teach them. So they miss the opportunity again. So the teenage years is a good window of opportunity to learn. It's just a lot of work and it's possible. Trust me, we started parenting our foster daughter as a teenager. She was 15 at the time. And it was a lot. It's the hardest thing I've done in my life. It's the hardest thing. It's not one of the. It is the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. And to actually be able to raise her, to be successful, to be able to thrive, we are so proud today. But I tell you, my husband and I sit down every day. We're like, parenting this girl was hard. As in, it was hard. So I'm not going to lie to you that it's going to be just a walk in the park. But if you are willing to put in the time that it requires, then you will be able to really achieve, what you are to achieve. The big part of the question says,
yes, how can I find my child's learning style?
Oh, wow. How can I find my child's learning style? We have a guide. We have a course called Understanding Your Child's Learning Style. If you go to our website, www.theintentionalparentsacademy.com, you will be able to access that course. It's called Understanding Your Child's Learning Style. You will be able to actually listen in and understand your learning style. A lot of parents who go through that course come back to me and say things like, I wish I knew this 18 years ago. All of the tries that I had, I wouldn't have had it. And when you parent from the place of understanding a child, it makes parenting smooth. It makes parenting, stress-free because you understand who you're raising. So you are able to work from there. I'll give a very vivid example. My son is sanguine and he's an active, dominant, kinesthetic learner. So it will mean leadership don't come easily to people like that. So it will mean that if I'm going to teach leadership, so can you see how it shapes? Can you see how it gives you a manual to what it is that you actually need to help your child with? So I understand that my sanguine child would require a whole lot for me to do as regards leadership, as regards being able to organize himself. Most of the executive functioning skills for sanguine children is very, very hard. You need to put in extra work. So raising my son, I have a set of twins. So raising my son had a different structure from raising our daughter. even though they were a set of twins. Because our daughter is actually very dominantly auditory and able to, she has a melancholy side of her and is able to actually put her on the advantage. Now, what we have been able to do today, our son is primed for a senior prefect in his school because we saw it early. So instead of just saying that's how he is, no. We were able to actually help him to look at his deficiencies and build on it. Now, when you're teaching sex education, for instance, the two core parts of sex education is self-control and self-esteem. The mechanism of sex is not sex conversation, but people teach the mechanism of sex as sex conversation, unfortunately, and which is wrong. And then people teach private part and public, that every part of the child's body is private to them. There's nothing like private part and public part. All right, that's a conversation for another day. But if you have that conversation and you're teaching a child self-control, now self-control does not naturally come to a man. It's learned with an extra effort. Self-esteem does not naturally come to a woman. It is learned with an extra effort. Why? It's simple. The testosterone gives the man an edge on self-esteem. So there's this thing is already in them. It naturally comes. So even if you do not teach it, with steps and all of that, some men will naturally just, have that thing because they are men. A woman will need to be taught intentionally. A man will need to be taught self-control intentionally. And that's why we have quite a number of men who cheat, who do all sorts, because we do not understand that that's the conversation of sex conversation, really, in the real sense of it. I hope I've answered that question.
Thank you so much. And there's another question. I feel my child is hiding things from me. How can I get her to open up?
How old is this child? I will need to know.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me take it from two angles. If that child is a preteen, so let me paint a scenario for you. When it comes to conversations in parenting, now this comes from a lot of knowledge. You need to understand that the moment a child begins to hit 10, so this is how the ladder works. You are the most important person in the life of your child, followed by another adult, followed by peer groups, followed by pop culture. The moment your child begins to hit 10, the most important person in their life becomes peer group, followed by the other adults, then followed by pop culture. You come to the fourth floor. Now, what parents do not understand is that the fourth floor is your position from age 10 going forward. I've seen parents who have come to me and said, I'm very close to my children. Oh, I just laugh. I smile. You are still on the fourth floor, even with that. Now, what I teach, when you get into the academy, one of the courses you do is called creating a social roadmap for your Gen Z. Because the Gen Z does not naturally have a social roadmap, you need to be able to create a roadmap intentionally for your Gen Z. Growing up, we had a social roadmap without being intentionally taught. We were able to connect with our neighbors. We were able to go out and understand stuff and all of that. In this time, there's nothing like that. You need to be able to go out of your way to be able to teach intentionally how to create a circle. Now, when you're creating a system like that, you are creating intentionally the other adults who should be in the circle of influence of your child. Because if you don't have that other adult, your child will find it either online or offline. It's not something you pray and say, God forbid, it will not happen. It is natural. It's going to happen. So if you have a child who already has gotten to that point, then you are able to, I taught my children, we teach everything. Taught my children how to make friends intentionally. So you're making friends according to your value system, because I know that the conversation about friendship is a valid conversation, even to the sex conversation that I must have with my child. So I start teaching you how to, instead of saying, oh, you don't need friends, you don't need any, those friends, all those things, stay on your own. Those things they are not, they come from a place of ignorance. Because in life, socialization is human need. It's not a want. And then if you don't do that, that's why your child will not start feeling somehow, oh, my peers are not, doing this. I want to join a group. They join the wrong clique because they are feeling, side-lighted and all of that. So one of the things that you need to do, if you think that your child is hiding something from you, is to first of all, bring yourself down to the point where you are not fighting. You need to be able to, I say that in the currency of parenting, trust is one of your most valuable currency. You need to be able to position yourself in the place where your child can trust you to speak with you. If that child is older than 13, you need to bring in the other adults that can help you. The other adult is not a threat to your parenting journey. It is like salvation. You need it. And if you are able to bring in that other adult, he helps you. So you need to find out from your child, all right? Watch, connect with the child. Stop looking for how to get information from the child. Concentrate on connecting with the child, which is why in the academy we have what we call the connection tools. So every day there's something you must do with your child to get you to the point where you're more connected with that child. So the more connected you are to a child, the more your child will be able to have conversations and release information to you. So start connecting with that child. If the child is older, you can get in somebody and the other adult that can help you with those processes.
Thank you so much. I will go to the next question. You mentioned that we should be raising kids who can thrive. What do you think are some skills children these days need to thrive? What are the skills they need to thrive?
Okay, so this is a whole class. It's a whole master class you're asking for, but it's fine. I have something that is pretty close on my YouTube channel. If you put in the Intentional Parent on YouTube, when you look at the Intentional Parent, you're going to find our YouTube channel. And I have this particular is a whole 1 hour class. It's free. You can have access to it. But let me just, put, 1 or 2 words. Thriving means being able to survive. And thriving would mean being able to do dangerous things carefully. If your child must thrive, then your child must learn how to do dangerous things carefully. That would include being able to travel alone, doing dangerous things carefully. So my children started traveling alone within Nigeria at 10. Nigeria is, we say a lot of things, oh, Nigeria is risky, oh, is this and all of that. In this time, the child should actually learn more about safety more than any other time. So we have timelines. We have a launch plan. We have what we call the launch plan, the pre-launch plan, the test launch plan, and the final launch plan. The pre-launch plan was a stage from 0 to 10 where I was teaching my children the skills that they require. The test launch plan is the stage where my children are testing the skills. Being able to travel alone, being able to go to do stuff alone, being able to cook, being able to, all of these were skills that they were, that they learned and they are now practicing. They are not testing it. There's the validity of a skill is in the testing of the skill. That's what validates a skill that you have learned. So that by the time you are launching the child is able to thrive. Time won't permit me that there's the social angle, there's the spiritual quotient, there's the emotional angle, there's the diversity quotient that you need to teach your child. All right, time won't permit me to go into all of the details of how you're going to help your children thrive. These are things that parents get into the academy and you never get finished to learn it, right? So it's a process. You need to understand that there's a lot of things to help your children do to be able to actually get to that point. And it is one step at a time. So that video is going to help you a lot. Somebody just how to raise godly children who thrive. Yes, there are quite a number of me teaching about thriving. There are quite a number of it, and you want to watch this at a good time. Thank you.
Thank you. Another question says, I have identified some skills in my child, and I think he should choose a particular career, but he doesn't want to. What is a parent's role in guiding a child towards a career choice? What role should the parent play?
The parent's role in guiding a child towards a career choice starts from 0. Unfortunately, you start at 15 and you start fighting. You're fighting a fight that is irrelevant. Because the child has already formed the system, a value system that you were not intentional about in the process. So your role is from when the child haven't gotten there. I was teaching the parents in our academy on how to create a dating plan and a family marriage plan. I have one. There are some marriages that can happen in my family. It's not pride, it's a decision. It's self-preservation. So many of the times, parents get to a time where their children are about to marry, and then they start to fight. You cannot bring this person from here. This is from Labaja. This person is from Igbo, he's Yoruba, he's this, he's that. Oh no, he's from a poor family, he's from a rich family. Those conversations are not necessary. When you should have had them, when you should have had it, when you should have built a plan that has been internalized in the system of your home. Your children understand where they are going. So if your child is already at the point where they're making choices of career, it might be really difficult if you really didn't, help them save. Now, what you can do is to get them a career coach who can help actually, do like a prediction and guide them towards a process that will help them. Because when you're supposed to coach through it, if the child is already at the point where they want to go to the university, study and all of that, get them a career coach, get them a mentor who can actually put them through. If you have a child who is younger and you're thinking, I want to be able to influence my child's career, you start from day one to influence it. You start from day one to expose the child to the kind of things that you want your child to internalize. See, life is about programming. I tell you a very funny story. A friend of mine who grew up in the north came to my house and brought corn and coconut. I grew up in the east. I don't eat corn and coconut. It's weird. It's corn and pear, the local pear. And when she brought it, I was like, how can you be eating corn? My husband grew up in the north. So my husband eats corn and coconut when I met him. I started telling him it's not nice. What you should be eating is corn and pear. That's the thing that aligns. It makes it look nice. And my husband has started eating corn and pear, through learning. But still says that corn and coconut, there's something about corn and coconut now. And then this friend was, we're having an argument back and forth. No, it's better to use corn and coconut. No, it's better to use pear. And I said to her, do you know that what we are arguing about is just a case of programming? We have just been programmed to understand things differently. See, you are a product of programming. Forget anything. You are just a product of what has been installed in your head. That you don't have it in your head is just because it wasn't installed. The same thing with the career process. You have not installed in the head of your child that that's where they should go. It's as simple as that. You can influence your child to the end, but you need to understand how to influence your child. So it's not control, it's influence. Like the place of it. There's a place of influencing your child. I remember that growing up, my father started to build a marriage plan from when we were about 10, 12. So I already knew that the concept of marrying down does not exist in my father's house. So I didn't even look at people who were down. It wasn't pride. My father said to me, it's not pride, it's self-preservation. And it's my program. So the program you install in the child, see, assumption is a bad thing. When you wake up in the middle of the day, you say, my child is 13. Hey, what can I do now? No, you cannot do this. No, you cannot do that. All of those things don't work. Because at that time, the child has formed who they want to become. And that's it. When you do that, you begin to create a battlefield. What you can do now is bring in someone who can help you have these conversations. Begin to open up conversations and open your mind to find out what the child wants to do. Maybe the child will actually help you to see, positive stuff on what it is that they are talented with, and then you can now support from them.
Thank you, Mrs. Ologe. That was amazing. And another question here is, we have shared custody of our children, and my daughter, who is almost 6 years old, does not engage with her father in conversation in spite of his effort, while she's very free engaging with me. How can we go about understanding why that is the case and how to get her comfortable talking to her dad?
Okay, so it's simple. She's not connected to him. So children are children are, they are like that. You need to have a system where you can connect with the child, and you need to be able to make the child comfortable to relate with you. The moment a child doesn't feel comfortable to relate, the child is not going to relate with you. So a lot of people will say, maybe the mother have told the child not to. You see all those things. It's neither here nor there. So the father would need to create a system that allows him to actually, connect with the child. Now, when I ask parents, you connect with your child, do you spend time? They say, yes, I spend time. If I ask you now, you're going to say, yes, I spend time. But a lot of the time would mean the child is watching cartoon. You are on your phone like this. And, you're rotating. And they say, yes. Oh, yeah, how are you? That's not spending. That's not connection. All right? That's not connection with the child. And the child would know that you're not connecting with them. So for you to actually connect with the child, you need to understand how to, and also, get the content to be able to connect with that child. I would advise this couple talking, maybe getting into the inner circle. The academy will help you so that you can get access to the connection tools, and then you'll be able to begin to engage with content with this child. I guess that will help a lot.
Thank you very much. That has been very insightful and educative. Do we still have more questions? You can still throw in your questions. We want to say a big thank you to you, Mrs. Ologe, for this session. It has been really educative and insightful. And don't be surprised that some of us will be taking some of your courses, will be part of the academy, because we really need to learn a lot. Thank you so much. And for everyone that has joined in today, we want to say a big thank you for joining in. And I want to believe that, you have, in one way or the other, learned one or two things. I have learned a lot. And just to share, we are a community of women with a passion for sharing practical wisdom nuggets to helping wives to be and enjoy marriage and fulfill their purpose as God intended it to be. And that is who we are. And for information about our guest speaker, you can always find that on the screen. You can connect with her on Facebook, Instagram, and her details are already being shared. For Instagram, it's the intentional parent at Wendy.Ologe. And thank you so much. And before we bring this meeting to a close, I want us to just confess our affirmation. That I want to believe everybody is seeing that. I am a mama, I am blessed, I am strong, I am brave, I am enough, I am God's masterpiece, I am beautiful and radiant, I radiate love and kindness, and my family is my ministry. I am a great leader. As a mama, I speak with wisdom, and faithful instruction is on my tongue. I am a fantastic role model to my children. I raise godly children, a generation of soldiers for Christ. My children arise and call me blessed. My husband also praises me. My home is full of love and joy. I handle it all in confidence and grace. My strength is daily renewed, and I am not afraid because God is with me. Even when I'm at my weakest, I am strong in the Lord. I have the spirit of love, power, and a sound mind. My hope is in the Lord. I wait on him and trust him for my life and future. I have the Holy Spirit in me, and he imparts patience and peace. God has given me what I need to flourish. The works of my hands are blessed in Jesus' name. Once again, I want to say a big thank you for everyone that has joined in today. We are so happy to have you join us. And once again, Mrs. Ologe, thank you so much. God bless you. And you've really impacted in us. And we pray that God will continue to encourage you and enlarge your coast and enlarge your ministry in Jesus' name. Have a wonderful day, everyone. Thank you.